Facetteers, what it do? Facetteers, what it do? It's your boy Marco, and I'm chilling with the crew. Hey, nah, I'm just me today, man. What it do, man? It's your boy Demarcus, and this is the life of a multifacet. And we are back with another episode. Make sure you tap in with me on the socials. IG, that meant Marco. IG multifacets. No, IG match it up with Marco. Both of those on TikTok as well. The multifacets of the Marcus on YouTube, and then my podcast, of course. Share it when you can. The life of a multifacet. I wanted to expand on what I was talking about on my previous episode, not to go too much into the depths about some things that I talked about on there, but more so speaking on clarity versus closure. And I feel that oftentimes, these are two different words that can get misconstrued, especially when we talk about like from a mental health standpoint. And I feel like, especially for us folks that are multidimensional, that are the reason why I'll say multifaceted is because the way in which our minds already think, we think about the world in different ways, and we also have a lot of ways in which and we're thinking about things at a particular time. But more importantly, when your mind is all over the place, oftentimes you're someone that can be an overthinker, and I'm someone that is a huge overthinker. But when it comes to my life, I've had to really understand and come to terms with that. Demarcus isn't someone that has really needed closure ever. It's really been clarity. And when we think about the difference of the two, it says here, I'm looking on Google, clarity refers to understanding the situation, the other person, and one's own feelings, while closure is the process of accepting the end of something and moving forward, often involving letting go of emotional attachment to the past. Now, when I think about situations that I've went through in my life, when something ends or when I feel that there's an end to it, like I'm done. Like if somebody's treating me a certain type of way, if somebody's on some BS or somebody's like move shisty or the situation is just like, if something is just said, hey, this is the end of it, like it's done. You know what I'm saying? For me, like I don't have time to understand why. I don't need any other type of attachment. Like I am done with it. But I had to realize that I used to put my feelings into the closure category because a lot of times clarity isn't a word that's really talked about as much when you think about like that and closure being in the conversation. You always just hear the word closure, closure, closure. But I really came to terms that like I've never really seek closure. I've always wanted clarity. And clarity is the reason why I've wanted it is because of how I show up in situations. Hey, the closure's already dealing with the situation. Somebody did what they did. Somebody moved in a certain type of way. Um, a company may decide to not move forward. Whatever it is, like the email that you get to say they didn't want to move forward. That's the closure right there. Like, hey, okay, you told me that this is it. Like, I can detach myself from it. The clarity for me comes in because oftentimes decisions will be made. People move in certain type of ways, but they'll do it where they'll do it in a way to where you can't understand the situation, and that's where I live within truth. Like if I treat somebody in a certain type of way, or if I've done something to hurt somebody, and it be unintentional, I still want to explain to someone why I made the decisions that I made because I'm conscious enough to know and I'm mature enough to know that there's a reason in which I did it, and more importantly, it's not excusing the fact that I did something, even if there not might not necessarily be like a particular type. Well, there's always got to be a reason. So let me take that back. Like if you've decided to move forward in a way to where you knew that was against code, there's a reason that you did that. And oftentimes for me, as I say to people, like my word is bond. And if I set any type of boundaries, if I set any type of logistics in the situation or whatever, and we speak on that and we confirm that, like the word is bond. And so oftentimes for myself, I've experienced betrayal from people because they will move in ways where it's a going against not only the ways in which we discuss, but it's been oftentimes where they'll bring it to me and say, hey, here, this is the way in which I plan to move. This is the way in which we should go about certain things. And then they go against their word. And so the clarity for me would be understanding like why people are like, why are you making this type of decision? Like why are you changing up and why are you moving a different type of way when all you had to do was be real in the very beginning? And I know I spoke previously about like a letter that I received from someone, but even in a situation like that, like for me, it's about being real and honest. For friends in the past, like that have felt certain type of ways about certain things, or there's ways in which we're coming together on making a decision about something. All I ask for is for people to be truthful. How I move and operate, I'm human like everybody else. Yes, I have feelings, but I'd rather you hurt me by telling me the truth versus you sugarcoating it and feeling as if you can come back later, or as if you can tell me some BS just to be able to get over the hump of the situation. Because I'm really going to lose a lot of respect for you. And um, like in the previous example I talked about, as far as from ways I've experienced things with people, letters, all this other type of stuff, like I've lost respect for folks because all I ask is just for you to be honest about where you're at. And when you the thing is, as humans, we have emotions in the ways in which we experience stuff, because there's no way that you can be human and not have emotions. But oftentimes we have to realize that for us folks that are real upfront and honest, when people move in certain type of ways, it's honestly a reflection of themselves. Listen, I've seen friends move in certain type of ways where it's like, you kind of going against my back on this, or you moving in a way now where it's like the things that we talked about, you kind of like, you ain't even really rock with me like that. We supposed to be locked in. But you realize over time that people aren't even in tune with themselves. And a lot of people feel as if they are, because of validation that they receive, because of certain type of compliments that they receive, or maybe certain type of energy that they would get from certain folks. But oftentimes, especially for us multifacets and folks that are self-aware and they can see things from a broader spectrum, you're going to see things in ways that other people are not going to see. You're going to see patterns. You're going to see certain habits that people have, especially when you're having conversations. So you're going to get a chance to oftentimes see the real person versus how other people can maybe just see like surface level. And oftentimes for me, when I'm thinking about getting clarity, because I'm having so many conversations with folks, and I take a lot of time to really invest in the people that I keep in my life, or invest in the people that I get a chance to be able to share time with, I'm going to create ways for us to converse early on where I'm more than likely going to get to know you on a deeper level than a lot of people have. Hey, does that say that I'm the person that knows you the most out of anybody? No. But I love to invest time in people that I care about and people that are part of my life, because part of who Demarcus's existence is showing up for people in a way where I can love and care on the people that I care about. I um, love and care for people that I get a chance to share this life with, people that I get a chance to have in my spaces. And a learning experience for me has been, I can't expect everybody to be as clear, concise, as honest, and as raw as I am when it comes to my thoughts and when it comes to speaking about life in certain type of ways. But one thing that I can demand is respect. And listen, I've had times in my life where I've shown up in certain type of ways. I'm not necessarily expecting others to do it in the same type of way, but there were times where I was expecting others to do it in the same type of way. But then I would look at life in moments when I got past that, and I'd realize that there are certain people that come into your life where you're like, wow, they can't even do the bare minimum. Or there are certain people in your life that come in where it's like they can be of a certain age and there's no emotional intelligence, or like the emotional immaturity is far from gone. Like they can be a nice person or whatever, but they're not in tune with themselves. And I realized that like the people that are not truly in tune with themselves, there's no way that they could even grasp showing up for me in a way in which I would appreciate or need. And oftentimes when we talk about like love language, and we talk about showing up for people in our lives, a lot of folks don't realize that part of having friendships and relationships, or whatever you're going, part of having people in your life in general, it is in a sense a job, because you've got to understand what people need. You've got to understand how people would appreciate you showing up for them. And you also got to be able to know like how you want people to show up for you so they can be able to bring their best self into the situation. But oftentimes I feel as if people don't put time and effort into learning how to show up unless it's someone that's a spouse. And oftentimes people may not even show up for their spouse in certain type of ways because they're focused on what they want. You might hear where somebody's in a relationship, but the love language that their significant other has, they can't even fathom taking time to move in that type of way. They're going to do what they think is best, or what they think that um, they they're going to move, and they're going to do something that they think is good for that person. But oftentimes you'll hear where people come back and be like, you know what, like that's not something that I value. And I don't think it's talked about enough when we think about people in our lives, how much clarity means. Because with clarity, it's truly understanding the situation for what it's worth. It's truly understanding about how people move, owning your feelings, owning their feelings. And if I truly have clarity on how people in my life would like for me to show up for them, and if they have clarity on how I would appreciate them showing up for me, oftentimes, even if we go through a situation where there is conflict, there's going to be ways in which we can resolve it, but it's not going to be in a way where I feel like I've lost respect for them. Because when somebody provides clarity, you know at the very beginning, you know at the surface of everything what this person tolerates and what they don't. And you also know that when boundaries are created between you and your people, you stand on these boundaries. That's why when I say your word is bond, like when word is bond, it's the same. Like when you give somebody a handshake, say if you're betting on something, and then y'all do a handshake to say like, hey, we're betting on this. It's always been said that like if you bet on something and you shake on it, like, hey, you got to pay up if you lose. Or if it's any type of agreement that you have, like if you sign for an agreement, it's like, hey, like this is what it is. But oftentimes, as far as being in the presence of people, we've also said as a society, when you're having certain conversations, like, hey, if we locked in and we say we locked in, we locked in. But oftentimes people will go against ways in which they talk about that they move, or go against things that are different. Not things that are different. Oftentimes people will go against the grid because they haven't been able to truly sit within themselves and know who they are. And again, there's always going to be points in life to where you may think about a decision. There can be times where even if you're somebody that is emotionally aware, you can still hurt someone. But it's about how you show up and how you hold yourself accountable for your actions. And oftentimes people don't want to look in the mirror enough to be able to talk about their flaws, as I talked about in previous episodes, to acknowledge why a decision was made and why they can't provide that clarity. Because if I'm someone that has made a decision and I've hurt someone, or I've went against my word, the thing I would need to do is really sit within myself, and I would need to acknowledge where I've had fault, acknowledge what I've done that's wrong, and acknowledge how I didn't hold up my end of the bargain, because that's where you show true clarity in a situation. But oftentimes people want to hide behind words, people want to hide behind the situation itself, because if they were to give real words, that would require them to actually look in the mirror, and they would look at themselves with regret. Hey, there's gonna be times where people have regrets about ways in which they move, but for people that haven't really took time to take a deep dive into themselves and really get to know themselves, for them to look into that mirror and actually sit down with themselves and reflect on decisions that they made, they would self-destruct. And once I realized that, I said, wow, DeMarcus, like how you've chosen to move through life and continue to hold yourself accountable, you're not perfect, but if you were to do something wrong, or if you were to do somebody wrong, not only do you feel it, but you own up to the situation to where you're like, you know what? This is the root of what happened. and what I did, I have to hold ownership. And that just goes with growth as an individual. That goes with true emotional maturity, because when you look into that mirror, you're going to feel all the emotions and stuff regardless. You can write whatever letter, you can send whatever text message, you can put whatever Facebook, Instagram post, but once you got to look into that mirror to understand and to actually feel what you did, to actually feel the emotions and feelings within your body, you got to look at that person. You got to actually deal with that. And there's nothing in this world that can fake that. So when we talk about clarity, you've got to give yourself that clarity. But when it comes to receiving clarity from a situation, oftentimes we're not going to receive closure, but oftentimes we may not receive the clarity that we need. But there's a difference in receiving one and wanting closure versus wanting clarity. In wanting clarity, you're going to want to understand the truth behind the situation. But with the closure, you've already made the closure's already been done because you made way with the situation versus how somebody moved versus how a situation panned out. So for me, I'm hoping that this makes sense for folks, and I want to do some more episodes in the future talking about this. But I've had my moments where I've been treated certain ways. I've had, on the opposite end, I've had moments where I've said something to someone or treated somebody in a certain type of way that wasn't intentional, but I had to really make way with myself, because as much as I could say, "Hey, I was sorry for this," or as much as I could feel in my mind that I did the right thing, I had to actually look with myself and sit with myself. And now, once I was able to really make way of the situation, if I truly sat with myself and it made sense to um if I truly sat with myself and I really understood the situation for what it was, like, then moving forward, I'm going to understand how to be able to hold myself accountable. But a lot of people don't do that. And so at the end of the day, I know for myself, I've been hurt a lot more than I feel like I've given that type of energy to others. And it's because of how I hold myself accountable and showing up in certain ways, but also too because I live in my truth, and I have to move in ways where I have to provide clarity within myself, and I have to be truthful within me. So whenever in my life I'm having to show up for and to other people, I can't hide that, because that would be me going against myself. That would be me going against the person that I spend so much time working on. And so I'm going to see if I can find a couple other things here. Um, Yeah, it says, clarity involves gaining a clear understanding of the facts, dynamics, and reasons behind the situation, especially within a relationship. I mean, that's what it is. It's like you've already made ways with why somebody did, you've already made ways with what happened, but you're just curious as to like why. But again, oftentimes you're not going to get that. So the best way to be able to move forward is moving within silence, is moving within putting that time and energy into your own crafts and leveling up, because people just ain't mature enough to be able to really keep it real and honest about how they move. And then for people like myself that move in ways where you always feel like you're the one that's got to be the better person or whatever, oftentimes moving in silence is going to be the best key for us. And that's something I'm learning in this moment, that moving in silence is so powerful, because there's been too many times where I've already given people more words than I should have. I've already explained myself multiple times. I've already provided energy that has been repetitive. It's been so redundant. I'm wearing myself out by saying the same thing. So, what better way than to move than with silence? Because for the people that don't understand, they need to go back and replay those conversations. Maybe they should have had their voice notes on. It's different if I'm like, anytime somebody does something, I'm automatically removing myself and isolating. When you show up in ways where you care about people, you truly love and adore people, and you express yourself, you provide these boundaries, but then people, they can't grasp what's going on. They can't get their emotional intelligence up enough for themselves where they can be able to really focus in on you. There's not really much that we need to talk about, because the silence that you're feeling for me now is the silence that I felt the whole time when you weren't listening, or when you made a decision to do what you did, and then that went against all the things we talked about the whole time. Like that silence that you feel, like imagine how it feels about me feeling silence the whole time. So That's why I think about like in life about leveling up. The Demarcus in the past, like silence wouldn't really be much of a thing because I'm trying to like get so much information. I'm trying to figure this out, figure that out, but I'm trying to make sure I get a last word in. I'm trying to make sure that somebody understands how exactly that I feel or what they put me through. But now there's no point because at the end of the day, all you're looking for me is closure. And by me giving that to you, then the situation is going to move in a way where it's like I'm sitting here giving you something like for no reason. I've done that in the past. I've had a couple of relationships in the past where it's like, and how I was treated, I end up giving the person enough closure. I ended up giving them the closure that they wanted, but then that did nothing for me. I'm over here making the situation all good, fine and dandy, like everything's good, but people are going to keep moving on with their lives. But the best thing that we can do is I got to keep leveling up. It's not about trying to get somebody back. It's not about trying to make them think that, oh, they messed up. If it gets down to the line where I'm over here leveling up in a different type of way, and then they feel like that. Cool, whatever. Like I'm so far removed from certain people in my life, or I'm so far removed from older situations with folks that I ain't even got time to think about if I do when I do level up, when I do level up, how they're thinking about me because I'm so focused on moving forward. As I made a post on my daily thoughts last week, it said something to paraphrase about like people getting the older software update. Listen, when you continue to level up and you continue to find ways to be able to appreciate yourself and be able to move forward. At the end of the day, you're not even so caught up in how you showed up for certain people in the past because you know that each and every day you're leveling up to where whatever they received previously from you, somebody else is about to get a better version than you. People already are getting a better version than you. Hell, you're giving yourself a better version than you. So I'm glad that people are able to get older versions of me because at the end of the day, that person, even if it was if I was the dopest person ever, now I'm going to be the dopest person ever. Like, hopefully, you were able to sit with that and enjoy that person because oftentimes what people don't realize as well is that finding people in your life that truly appreciate you and show up for you and care and love you for who you are, that is not as common as we think in this world. So when people betray you, when people go fully against or backdoor you or whatever it is, like people don't even realize how much of a disservice that they're doing to themselves. Again, it's totally different if you decide to go separate ways because a relationship or something didn't work out, or because people are on different playing fields, because friendships and stuff may have communication may have changed over time. But when people move in shicey type of ways, a lot of people don't even realize what they're doing to themselves because you made a decision to say, especially for the ones that typically don't even have people showing up for them in the ways in which you do, they don't even realize how devastating that's going to be for themselves. They don't even realize the type of energy that they're going to create for themselves moving forward because it's not common to find people that truly show up and care for you in this lifetime because so many people are selfish. So many people haven't done their own internal work where showing up for other people is just obsolete. So I can walk away from a lot of situations or really any situation knowing that I loved and cared with all my heart and I showed up with putting everything on my sleeve, on my arm, you know what I'm saying? Like I showed up being the best that I could and I showed up knowing that anybody that's coming to my life that I'm truly locked in with, I can live this life knowing that I care for each and every person like it was no other. Have I always it's I can maybe count on my hand how many times that I've received that same type of love and appreciation in my life from folks. But it's not about like counting how many people. It's not about even trying to keep tabs because I know that a big part of that and me holding myself accountable is saying, Demarcus, a big part of that is your fault as well. It's not nothing wrong with the way in which you showed up, but you're wrong for feeling as if you can show up for certain folks that didn't deserve it. You're wrong for not showing up for the right people, or you're wrong for giving energy to people that didn't earn it. But hey, there were times where when I say not showing up for the right people, you got to you should have gave your energy to more people that deserved it, and you learn that over time. You know what I'm saying? Like you can make way with knowing that you can. that you should give time and energy more to the right people versus not really giving them as much energy at all. Like you're not betraying, like you just have to learn how to be able to really pour into the people that matter. That's the easy fix. But like giving your energy to people that don't deserve it, that haven't earned it, people that can, seem as if they real locked in, but they really not, like that's a different type of energy and hurt that you're going to endure on yourself because why? You're feeling as if people really earned it. You're feeling as if like by you showing up that people really got it. But the older that you get, the more that you become in tune with yourself. It doesn't become a toss up on like how many people I give it to or whatever. Because now I know that by going through different life lessons and going through different obstacles, now I'm so excited to give it to the right people. I'm so excited to give it to less people because when you feel as if you got to give it to everyone, or you feel as if you're up against a lot and you feel as if certain people ain't appreciated this and that, oftentimes you have wrong people in your spaces. So the fact I know I can show up less in a lot of areas and still have the same type of worth and still have the same value, and know that I can take that energy and provide it to people that truly deserve it, and people that are truly going to earn it, that makes me feel so happy because I'm able to save a lot of internal frustration. I'm able to save a lot of headaches, and I'm able to put time and energy more into myself because oftentimes in my life in the past, I was giving that away. Oftentimes, I was letting people rent space in my mind where they shouldn't have. But you have to look at yourself in the mirror and have to say, hey, enough is enough. When am I going to remove myself from certain situations? When am I going to give myself enough respect to say we're not dealing with this anymore? To say, hey, we're going to remove ourselves. To say, you know what? I don't need to show up like this. I'm going to go to the environments that appreciate me. I'm going to show up with. I'm going to show up for the people that appreciate me, the people that truly care about me. You know what? I'm going to give that time and energy to them because they're the ones that's truly locked in. So if you're someone that struggles with closure, if you're someone that's always trying to find that, try to go to the other side and look for clarity. And as a multifaceted individual, like I said, I'm someone that has different types of conversations. My mind's flowing in different types of ways. So that means that I'm going to have different ways in which I move, in which I think about the world. And so I look at that as saying, okay, DeMarcus, but when it comes to ways in which you move, though, which in which you hold like trust and things in which you ask for certain from people, that never changes across the board. All you want is people to be real and authentic and just keep it real with you. At the end of the day, if something might hurt my feelings, but I'm going to respect the person 1,000 times more, knowing that they can keep it real with me and they can be honest about why a decision was made in the way that it was. Because when you hide stuff from me, or when you try to move in a way as if something's not happening when it really is, I lose all respect because you're not truly appreciating me for who I am, and you're not respecting that person. So why would I give that back? So listen, I'm so proud of myself, and I'm always happy just to know the person that I am becoming, loving who I'm becoming, and just knowing how much time that I spent as a man really diving into my emotions and really focusing on me, holding up that mirror. I'm not perfect. I've not done everything great by any means. I'd be a damn fool to say that, but by holding up that mirror and me having to really hold myself accountable and me not putting the blame and fault on other people all the time, but me being in control of my life and me being in control of what I allow myself to consume, be a part of, like that's truly changed my life for the most in the most beautiful type of ways. And I'm always proud as I continue to go through life and I see the way in which I handle situations. So, man, this one's about closure versus clarity. It's your boy DeMarcus. And if you got anything out of this, man, make sure your word's bond. Make sure that even with your word being bond, if there's a way in which you've done something to hurt someone, or if there's a way in which you've went out of around the scope of how you typically move, like be real with yourself and be truthful about what you've done. Be truthful about how you've hurt others. Be truthful about and listen to how other people are feeling, but don't let people manipulate you now, and don't let people try to gaslight you to make a situation feel that is worse than it is. But when you can be truthful and raw about a situation, your decisions and how you felt, how the other person felt, and y'all can come to a ground to where there's respect and respect isn't lost, I feel like that's a great way to move in life. But if respect's lost, if people betray you, if people ain't holding up their end of the bargain, if people is moving in ways that they typically don't move in, or if they going outside of who they tell you that they are, hey, fuck them. Because at the end of the day, we don't play that. Like if I'm taking time and I'm being real and raw with you and I'm giving you that trust and I'm allowing you into spaces that I typically don't let other people into, then I'm giving you a type of energy that I expect to um that I expect for you to respect. So it's your boy DeMarcus, man. We out of here. It's a life of a multifaceted. Peace.